All right, this is Creole Ken. Um, this video is going to be an educational video. It's about antlers, antler restrictions, and I'm primarily going to focus in the state of Texas. I'm going to give you some examples. A lot of people are really kind of confused when it comes to antler requirements and restrictions. So I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to start with Texas. In Texas, most counties have a 2 buck limit. Actually, let me start. Let me back up a little bit. When you buy a Texas hunting license, you can only kill 5 deer per season legally. You can kill up to 2 does, which are considered antlerless. So it doesn't even say doe in the permit, it says antlerless. You can kill up to 2 antlerless deer, which are typically does. Antlerless deer could be a button buck, and a button buck is basically a deer that don't have antlers protruding out of the head. There's a little knob, like a little button, where the antler would grow from. The antler itself is the bone of the skull. So a young buck or a buck that doesn't have a lot of nutrition typically won't produce an antler. When it comes to a antlered deer, most counties have what's called a unbranch and branch antler restriction. And I'm going to show and explain what that is. A unbranched antler is this right here. That's an unbranched antler. This technically is an unbranched antler, and that's because this point here is not over an inch. It didn't produce the full branch off the antler, off the main beam. So in Texas, you can shoot one unbranched antler deer, or you can shoot a branch antler deer, but that spread has to be at least 13 inches between the tines. There's one other thing I want to mention about too. I've done this with one of these antlers here. I don't know what deer it was. I think it was this guy here, where you have a combination look something like this. You have a deer that would have a fork on one side, and then just have a non-fork or non-branch, non-branch, that's the right word, non-branch antler on the other side. That is a legal deer. If you find a deer with just one antler and it never grew to the second one, that's also a legal deer as far as a unbranched antler deer. So let's look at some of these antlers. That combination right there will fit an unbranched combination. That right there will fit a unbranched combination. We typically call this spike or double spike. That right there, with that little knob or kicker, as they like to call it, that will fit a unbranched antler. That right there will also fit a unbranched antler because one side is unbranched where the other one is branch. So we have to worry about 13-inch spread. But whenever you are shooting a full branch deer, like this rack, it better be 13 inches between the tines. If you don't have 13 inches and you got a branch antler, you have made a violation in the state of Texas. Simple. There's no complexity here. There's no rocket science. It's not the state effort to get you. This is the legal definition of what's required in the state of Texas. This here, if you shot this deer in the state of Texas, that combination there, that will probably not work for the branch deal. By the way, this was shot in Florida. This set of antlers here was killed on a deer in Florida. This here was a shed for a deer that dropped. I found this on the ground like many years ago, broken. That right there, this antler also is off a deer out of Florida. This here is a branch. So if I shot this and I didn't have another unbranched on the side, and if let's say it was branched over here, I would have 13-inch spread. So these are just simple things and simple rules. Florida is a little bit better as far as antler restrictions. Typically, Florida will have something like the antler total distance must be 5 inches or more. They have some counties or some WMAs where they'll say like it has to be 5 inches plus 3 or more points. And a point is simply going to be 1 inch with a bone protrusion off the branch. Another trick, I learned this many years ago when I first started hunting. If you can eyeball the length of the antler with your naked eye or with a scope, don't shoot the deer. A dollar bill is about 6 inches and a quarter. So if you have like a state of Florida, if you have a 5-inch minimum antler length, just remember, if it's at least as long as a dollar bill, it's going to probably be legal. Same thing if you're going to be in the state of Texas and you're going to be hunting. If you cannot relatively put $2 bills between the tines and a little bit and then some, don't shoot that buck. It's most likely going to be illegal. The state of Texas have a pamphlet where they actually make it even more simpler for you. When the ears of the deer are in a normal position, if the tines are within the deer ear, like within the distance, it's going to be an illegal buck. Most time when it's 13 inches or more in spread, the outer tines are outside of the deer ear. That's how you know that it's a legal deer. So just keep that in mind when you're hunting, no matter what state you're going to be in, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, anywhere that they're going to have antler and antler restrictions. Make sure you know legally what you can kill. Make sure you know legally what the lengths are. Make sure you know what the difference of a branch antler versus a non-branch antler. And that way you'll stay safe. You won't get a ticket, and you most likely won't have to be going to court or pay restitution. A typical ticket for a killing a legal buck in most states can be anywhere from $380 if you get lucky, probably close to $700. And that's before they add on any other fines, any other court costs, wildlife, penalties, and any kind of restitution. So if you kill something illegally and you're hunting, it can be quite expensive. General rule I always use, if in doubt, don't shoot the deer. Let it live. You can always come back later and find something else the next day, next hour, whatever. Don't risk it. If you do shoot something illegal, don't take it out the woods. Leave it. Don't take it to the processor. Don't take it to the check stand. Leave it. Definitely don't film your illegal activities and put it on YouTube. That's also stupid. So just keep that in mind. If you're ever going to be hunting, no matter what state you're going to be hunting in, make sure you follow the rules. Make sure you know what the lengths of the antler spread is supposed to be. Make sure you know the difference of a branch antler versus a non-branch antler, and be safe in whatever you do, and try not to make violations. You okay? I'm out. Yeah, I want to also follow up one other thing about tagging animals, especially when it comes to bucks, or even just does. It doesn't really matter. In the state of Texas, you are in violation if you don't tag the deer. The tag needs to be attached to the deer, not the cooler, not the truck, not the game bag, but to the deer itself. I'm on these forums sometimes where hunting, where people get away with saying, oh, I just tagged the cooler, that's cool. You might get away with that, but the Texas Park and Wildlife Game Warden can ticket you as improper tagging violations. You must tag the deer. Fix it to the deer. What I typically do is on the leg of the deer, when I cut above the gland, I peel that skin back. I make a little incision, and after I've notched and fill out the tag, I stick it into the meat of the deer. And when the meat closes back around, that tag would never come out. So you know the tag is firmly affixed to the deer. If you cut the head off and you give the head to somebody else, like for caping, European scout, mount, whatever, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to fill out what's called a WRD, a wildlife resource document, and you hand that over to the other individual. That's supposed to always go with the separation of the meat in the head, or the cape in the head. It's a simple form to fill out. You typically put your name on it, date, maybe time, your customer ID number or hunting license number, whatever you want to call it. And I'll probably put what county I shot it in and the property ID. Um, don't make the tagging more complex when it is. It's a simple process, but you gotta follow it if you want to avoid getting cited or getting an expensive ticket for improper tagging of a deer. Hope these tips help you. With antlerless deer, we have another thing we have to do down here. We need to report it into our harvest, like online. They have like a website. I'll put a link in the description. But you're supposed to go online within 48 hours, give or take, and you're supposed to go in there and put down that you took an antlerless deer and what county, what time, or excuse me, what date I think it is, and that's all it is. It takes about 5 minutes to do it. If you have the app on your phone, you could do it from the phone. I don't really do that on the app on my phone because the internet's always crappy. The app is a piece of shit, excuse my French. So I just go online and just do it online, like within the next 24 to 40 hours when you kill a doe. These are simple tips to keep you legal, keep you safe from getting a big expensive ticket. You don't want to end up getting a deer and you have to end up paying like $1,000 because you shot a deer and didn't tag it, or you shot a deer that didn't have the right antler combination or antler sizing or whatever the case is. Make sure you follow the rules, follow the regulations, read it, ask questions if you are, quote, unclear. Do not ask questions to other hunters. Ask to multiple hunters because a lot of hunters are misinformed about what is a legal deer, what you can kill. There's a big video going on right now with I think it's called CNB Outdoor, where the guy shot a buck that's a fork buck, but it wasn't legal. I mean, you could look a mile away and know that that wasn't a legal combination. And somebody called him out on the internet, and a game warden came out there and actually did an investigation and cited him for killing a improper sized deer per se with antlers. So just be safe out there, follow the rules. You can always find a Texas Parks and Wildlife game officer or the DNR officer for your state or Fish and Wildlife Commission for Florida, and you can always ask them for clarity. But the general rule is, if you're in doubt, do not shoot that gun, do not pull that string on that bow, do not fire that rifle. Let that deer go. If you honestly can't say that's a 13-inch spread, you shouldn't be shooting it. If you can't see it and know for sure it's a 13-inch spread, don't shoot it. Creole Ken, out.